Hey everybody, Mr. Pace for Exposed. Thanks for stopping by. Listen folks, this is going to kind of be a long one, so go grab your favorite beverage, send the kids off to the movies or to bed, either one. If you're married or you have a girlfriend, do one of two things. Either she's going to want to watch this or send her out shopping. Either one, hand her your credit card, shut your face, and be a happy guy. What I want to go over is something I was reading over the weekend, and quite frankly, I actually had to break out the glasses for this because it's pretty cool. Missouri wants to pass a bill that's actually going to give back all kinds of legal rights. And not the ones you think, because, well, this isn't a show for anybody that's lighthearted or faint-hearted about the Second Amendment. Okay, a little bit about me. I served my country for almost 6 years. Got injured in the line of duty a couple times, and I got out. Subsequently after that, after seeking treatment for my disability issues, I realized that some people called the Clintons decided to take this country in a direction it shouldn't have. You remember the Clintons, right? The uranium Clintons, the Clintons of the scandal, the email Clintons, you know, people like that. People that aren't fun-loving Americans, and by all means, not good Americans. So I want to make a distinction between Americans and politicians, because this country was divided a long time ago into two groups, okay? And this isn't a meal, and we're not using the SDA as a guideline, but just to take you down memory lane, before a law was passed in 1994 into 95, I was allowed to have a gun, okay? And it's not a big deal. Gun was for self-protection, protecting the family, and hence I had other weapons that were used for hunting. You remember hunting, right? Where you go out and you forage for food and take care of your family, stuff like that. Then the Clintons, of all people, decided to change that. In the sneakiest move of all time, where half the Congress and Senate and the House people were not around, they passed a bill called the Omnibus Act, and they stuck it to a commerce bill, which it had no business being. It was the Lautenberg Amendment, okay? Which took away, on its first day, the right of ownership to own a gun of 33,000 Americans. It was 33 or 34 back at the time, I don't remember. But it was funny because 30,000 of those people were law enforcement officers. Yeah, it really screwed them ugly, okay? And so it wasn't that it just affected people like me, it affected a lot of people. Now, as time's gone on, it's been about 20-something years, the federal government has usurped the authority of states, and states don't have the ability to stand up to the federal government. They don't want to. Your elected officials are playing a game. I like to call it a circus, or they are game show contestants in a game they're going to lose because they keep shooting off their foot, okay, so to speak, or biting off their nose to spite their face. What does that mean? In a roundabout way, they will tell you they're for you, and they're not. And that includes other people like sheriff's departments and law enforcement agencies. They really aren't for you. They never were, because they make money. This whole thing comes down to money, as I will get to in this particular segment. What does that mean to you? Well, as a well-educated American, the word well-regulated militia is not law enforcement. Remember, I've done a segment on this when law enforcement came along as to how that all took place. Well, a well-regulated militia is something that was here long before the official law enforcement took place. We had so-called police officers, but to that extent, they weren't a real police force. They were used, as you know, on this website to keep slaves on plantations, something I vehemently oppose. Quite frankly, I still don't think other people should own people, just my opinion. But notwithstanding that, a well-regulated militia was instilled for one reason, and this is something the justices don't understand because they're fucking stupid, okay? Having not been where we are in the trenches, they don't understand, looking from down here, what it looks like sitting up there. Nothing against you guys, with the exception of the 2 or 3 I really like, but you are fucking stupid, okay? And you lack some serious common sense skills. And I've read a lot of the things you guys have passed over the years, and quite frankly, the minute Ginsburg leaves, you might be able to fix some of it. But for the first time in a long time in my life, including Reagan, we now have a president that's not a politician that wants to fix the problem. And the NRA is not the solution. I'm sorry, they're not. Law enforcement is not your friend. They are not. Their job is to enforce the law. Agents of law enforcement, hence the name. Okay? So they have to enforce the laws that they took a job to do. They get paid to do this. They make money. Right. Okay, so we're getting there. So you have to remember that anybody that has a fiduciary responsibility to us really doesn't. They have a responsibility to the paycheck. And I've had this nice, polite conversation with an up-and-comer in the state of Colorado, and I hope she gets elected someday and gets the speaker piece. Nice lady. Okay? Which is funny because it's a woman that has a lot more common sense than the guys. Funny, huh? But we'll go on with that. I've read this bill, and it's called, it's basically Senate Bill 613. It modifies that in the Second Amendment. So this one is a bill for Missouri, a state that is actually going to get it. Because this one was pretty important, okay? And so much so that I'm now going to tell all you sheriffs out there, fuck you, all right? Because you have the pretense of acting like you want to do something when you don't. You're not going to disobey a law, because that's breaking your oath. So that's why you got the fuck you, okay? So don't come up and pretend to be politically posturing when in reality, I already know you're going to uphold the law. So it doesn't matter if someone defunds it or a resolution is passed or a bunch of individuals do it for showmanship purposes. A resolution has no bite to it. A law does. A law fixes a problem. And guess what? Elected officials in counties can pass a law. Yes, you can. It's called an ordinance. Same ordinance I got in trouble with 25 years ago is the same ordinance you can get rid of. People don't know this. You can actually change the laws to benefit the people, but you don't want to do it. Hence the reason why I wanted to become a politician, so to speak, get elected, so I could undo the damage, like what Mr. Trump is doing now. So for all you people who claim to love your Trump, don't. You're full of shit. Okay, so collect your check, step aside, and let other people do it. Hence brings me to the fact I'm still trying to figure out who of the county commissioners in this great old state all collect pensions when they're done being elected. No one's answered that question. Let's get to this, okay? Because this is going to smack in the face of what I said long ago needs to happen. And it's going to. And if Missouri's going to be the show me state, well, they're going to start showing us, aren't they? Let me read this. The Missouri bill, which seeks to nullify virtually every federal gun control measure on the books, whether past, present, or future, passed the Senate Thursday. It's called Senate Bill 613, would ban the state from enforcing virtually all federal gun control measures and including criminal charges for federal agents attempting to violate the right to keep and bear arms in Missouri. Now you know why law enforcement was against it. Because they can get in trouble for not doing their job, upholding the Constitution. I love it. I love it. I'm going to write them a letter thanking them and sending them this video, letting them know I'm on board with what you're doing. Going to get to that in a minute. So one of the things I read in this bill was the part that was called friendly fire. And this is the part that really got me. Okay? This bill also talks about the Federalist and the Federalist measures that James Madison took. Look up Federalist 46, start reading it. Okay? The bill passed despite strong opposition from law enforcement community. According to the report from the Institute of Justice, Missouri law enforcement cashed in to the tune of $34,462,153 in forfeitures from 2001 to 08. They only get this money if they do the bidding of the federal government. See where I'm going? What did I say? What have I always said? Law enforcement isn't here for you. It's here to collect money in order to continue to operate. Hence the reason why our jails are overfilling, because we take certain things like ICE prisoners and deportations and things like that to collect what? What do they collect when they bring them in? Extra? Yeah, okay. Well, you're getting there. All right. See, you don't have to get upset. You just have to show the people the truth. It's been posted online all over the place, especially for El Paso County, is why we're short bed space. Let's get over that. The NRA also came out against the legislation due to proposed amendment. Anti-gun Senator Jamal Nasheed Added language requiring gun owners to report stolen guns, 72 hours for the theft. The NRA claimed the amendment also included penalties. Well, those penalties were not reporting a stolen gun. Now they backed off of that, okay? And the penalties actually weren't so bad. It's $1,000 for something, I think $35 for another. Not a big deal, but you don't lose your gun rights. Even if you get in trouble and you screw up, they're still not going to take your rights away. The part that really rocked me was the part that if a police officer or law enforcement agent tries to screw with your gun rights, they get in trouble for not following the law. That was the best part of this bill. That was the part that really made me happy. And basically it holds them accountable. That's accountability. No law enforcement agent should confiscate your weapon like they want to do here. That's not their job. But now they want to do that. And now with this red flag matter going through Congress and all that, they're going to make things worse. What this will do is set up two things, either a serious revolt or another civil war. Either one, people are saying, oh, you're just full of it, you're just blowing smoke. No, good, honest Americans who are fed up with losing things like rights are going to stand up and say, you know, we've just about had enough of you guys. And party affiliation aside, folks, there's going to be good Americans and bad Americans. Good Americans, people that live around me and my neighbors, good Americans. The ones that aren't politicians. The ones that aren't agents of enforcement, that are not paid to do what you think they do. Very calmly and succinctly stated, they're really not working for you, the average ordinary citizen. They're really not going to protect you, because in a time of crisis, well, the National Guard will come in and take care of that. And they've done it more than once. Let me remind you of Kent State. So, let me explain. The Second Amendment Act basically says that the act declares that it invalidates all federal laws. Let me read this. This act, various declarations of the Missouri General Assembly, in the fact so much as this act declares as invalid all federal laws that infringe on the right to bear arms under the Second Amendment to the Constitution and Article 1, Section 23 of the Missouri Constitution. Some laws declared invalid under this should include taxes, certain registrations, and trekking laws, certain prohibitions on the possession, ownership, or use or transfer of specific types of firearms, and confiscation orders. This declares that it is the duty of the courts and law enforcement agencies to protect the rights of law-abiding citizens to keep and bear arms. Under this act, no public officer or state employee has the authority to enforce firearm laws declared invalid by this act. Any person under this act, under the color of law, to deprive a Missouri citizen of the rights or privileges ensured by the federal and state constitution shall be liable for redress. That's mean they're held accountable. Accountability. I don't know a lot about Missouri, but I'm certainly gonna read up about this state. And why is that a big deal? Because Missouri is going to set them up in such a way it's going to be awesome. So let's continue reading. It is a Class A misdemeanor under this act for a federal employee to enforce or attempt to enforce firearm laws declared invalid by the state. Law enforcement officers are provided the power to impose on behalf of interpose on behalf of law-abiding citizens. The provision of this section shall become effective in 2017 or upon the revision of the statutes thereof. So let me explain. Law enforcement officers will do exactly what this says, which is make sure that every law-abiding citizen, and this includes people with criminal records, who have already served their sentence, to have their rights back. That means that someone like me, who always wanted to take his son hunting, will get to do that. And if this does go, I guarantee you other states will follow suit. Are you paying attention, you special yellow bus people? Okay, and why is that relevant to a guy like me? Because I've never been able to take my son hunting without breaking the law. And that's it. And for one big reason, that may not mean a lot to a lot of people out there who have materialistic issues with their lives. I start with the basics. Food, clothing, shelter. Preservation of life and family. End of it. Okay? However that comes about for me, that's how it works for me. However that works for you is you. I will tell you this, that if this goes, then you're going to see a lot of people jumping through hoops to fix the problem in other states, and they'll pass the laws just like they did. And there's nothing the federal government can do about it, because according to articles in the Constitution, states have a right to self-govern, and there's nothing they can do about it. So I want to tell everybody that when people are politically posturing for a camera and all that, don't bother, and don't do it in front of me, because the Missouri State Legislature is going to do something that no other state currently is doing that I'm aware of, and if I'm stand corrected, I stand corrected. But if this does what I think it will do, Missouri's coffers will fill up with citizens moving to Missouri, if nothing more than the fact that people will not have their Second Amendment rights taken away, and you will see them pouring through the borders in droves. Thousands, 10,000s will be showing up. I promise you, that's what will happen in Missouri. And then they will see a windfall and an economic boom like never seen before, because they will be one of the only states that do it. So to the other states that are watching this go down, if you want to keep your citizenry in place, I suggest you take a look at this bill and realize that they're about to do something that's phenomenal, that no other state has the balls to do at this time. Not meaning that you won't do it, but they will see a windfall and you will not, and people will leave states to go enjoy their Second Amendment rights, because it'll be one thing they don't have to worry about anymore. And I want to congratulate Missouri for doing it and showing other states that it can be done, and the fact that our simple electorate can't pull their head out of their ass or pass some stupid resolution or some agreement that states they're going to do everything they can to oppose a bill that's going to get passed is a waste of everybody's time. Okay? Of the people, for the people, by the people means exactly that. I'm Mr. Pace, and I will be so excited to be able to go and buy a piece of property in Missouri so I can have the right to take my son hunting, which is what a father or other fathers, and most fathers that I know, enjoy doing now, and I don't get to do that. So for me, it'll be worth whatever it is to do that, because that's more important to me than owning a big house and driving a fancy car and having all the materialistic things that people want. A day with my son in the woods is worth a lot more than you think. It's also a memory. Remember, folks, you only go around once. Let's do it the right way, because this state, Colorado, is not the state I moved into. Folks, have a great day. Stay tuned.